Hi guys. So I've always wondered how people actually go about and be more productive. I've always been a productivity fiend all my life, all through my job years, through my years of study, and I must say I'm a pretty normal guy when it comes to AI. At least I was a pretty normal guy, maybe about 2 months back. So something happened. I had a bit of free time on my hands, and I started looking into a tool called as Cloud Code. So as you can see, there is 3 Cloud Code sessions open on my screen at the moment. So I already know that I'm a heavy user of Cloud Code at this moment, but it didn't happen like that. I was always somebody who was always scared of terminals and being a non-techie guy. Let me tell you, I'm a doctor by profession. So tech never really entered my life, maybe not much more than Gmail, the odd using the calendar to automate a bit of my scheduling. So I was never really a big software guy. But then I started using something called as Notion. My brother introduced me to it, and I figured out that software can actually seriously enhance your life. And I just took to Notion like a fish to water, and I just started documenting every single part of my life onto Notion, starting with all of the important papers in my life, all the documents, every kind of task. I started using it for to-do lists and everything. But very soon it started to feel like it was performative productivity, if you may relate to it. Like, I started to feel that I was setting up the tasks became the destination. Setting up the task became the task. And I wanted my task list to look beautiful rather than actually making something work. And having that sort of recognition and having that sort of an observation, understanding your biases regarding these things is very important. Otherwise, you will never really actually be productive in life. So I'm a big believer of auditing your thinking patterns, conducting mental hygiene periodically. So I ended up doing that, and then I realized that Notion is not such a great tool for daily task stuff. Then something happened. I started using Notion with a tool called Milanote, where I used to have the project. I started using Notion as my project database, and then I started using Milanote as the adjuvant to Notion, where Milanote's free tier was pretty easy to use, and it gave me a lot of leeway to create lists, and so I had a bit of a MacGyver way of doing things. But by this time I had a huge bloated up inflated data set on Notion about all my tasks and most of my life, but none of it got anywhere. Eventually I got introduced to the world of AI. The first time I heard the word ChatGPT, which was just like a gimmick in my circle, because nobody in my circle actually takes time out to learn new software or something like that. The most we can actually end up doing is Excel. The fact that I learned Canva was a big deal in my circles, because I was able to present my presentations in a better manner, run my business in an easier manner, make team documents in a better manner. That was the extent of my technical prowess. So what happened was, I started using ChatGPT, and I realized that this is a life-changing moment. This is exactly what I wanted out of Google. Everything that I thought Google could not be, ChatGPT was. And there was not a single day that anybody could take away ChatGPT from me. I immediately took the plus version. I even took the pro version at a point of time. I felt it was too overkill. I started to do everything with it. I wrote books with it. I had therapy sessions with it. I used it as a journal. I used the audio feature particularly very prominently, where it records what you say and transcribes to a very high degree of accuracy. All in all, it was a very surreal experience to actually experience artificial intelligence in the way the founders might have envisioned. By the time I was not very deep into AI, I didn't understand models, I didn't understand model weights, I didn't understand model benchmarks and all those things. I was just a simple ChatGPT basic normie NPC guy using ChatGPT for his daily stuff. But then as things started progressing, I understood the levels of ChatGPT, I understand thinking models, I understand changing the models between ChatGPT's chats, I understand the Gemini models where they were good, image generating models. I started using Fall AI, I started using Hugging Face, and I started basically trying to see what other AI things were there, because if ChatGPT was this good, then what else can make my life? So that was basically how I got into the world of AI, with the gateway drug being ChatGPT. and everything was going fine. I thought I had reached the cap of everything, and I used to think of myself as a power user because I was using ChatGPT to a very high level. There wouldn't be a single thing that I wouldn't do without the counsel of ChatGPT, and I always knew where my biases were, where it might go wrong. I understood that ChatGPT hallucinates at certain points where it was good. Every single point, I've been through the whole withdrawal of 4.0 because 4.0 was a very personable model. When they decommissioned 4.0, I felt that pain that lots of other users felt, that their friend has left. Basically, it sounds exaggerated now. If I think about it, it seems funny, but back in the day, it was the pain was very real. I mean, I'm just kidding. I got over after a day, like, the 5.2 was a pretty good model anyway. So that's when something astronomical happened in my life. So there was a perfect storm of me having a break from my hospital job, having 24/7 to myself with a very large computer. I had a MacBook Pro and a Mac Mini, and I heard about something called as OpenClaw. That's when things started to fall into place. OpenClaw sounded like exactly the thing that I was waiting for, because having exhausted every use case for ChatGPT, and after having understood the benefits and the capabilities, which were many for ChatGPT, I understood that this is indeed the evolution. In fact, I felt it was not a one-step leap, it was an exponential leap towards the next iteration of AI, how a real AI might behave. I immediately started looking for people to install OpenClaw for me, but I couldn't wait the weekend. I had a South Asian guy, and he agreed to install it on Monday, and Saturday night, I just couldn't wait anymore. I just sat down on my MacBook. One thing led to another. I ended up installing OpenClaw. It was a lot of hard work, but to install OpenClaw, everybody kept talking about the Claude models. So I installed Claude Opus 4.6 in chat. And that was the extent of me stepping out of my ChatGPT's loyalty circle, so to say. The first time I experienced Claude Opus 4.6 was very surreal. I felt it was a very superior model. It was very good in terms of talking the way it sounded human-like. And some things were very horrible with the chat aspect of Claude, where the folderization of the chats were very bad. I felt ChatGPT does it better. It lets you make projects and other stuff like that. So with the help of Claude's chat, I went into terminal for the first time. I actually discovered what are codes, what are command codes, what's the CLI, what's a status line, and other things like that. And I ended up installing OpenClaw. Suddenly, the world seemed to be easy and at my fingertips, because if I can use Claude's instructions to such a high degree of accuracy that I can install something that is so complicated that somebody was charging $500 to do it. I mean, now the prices might have decreased, but back then things were pretty crazy. People were charging $500 to do. I mean, people are still charging $500 for people in New York. Like all these business people, they want OpenClaw on their machines, and I mean, you know the case. So I was one of those schmucks who was thinking that, OpenClaw might be too difficult to install themselves, but I ended up proving myself wrong with the help of Claude. So that's when my journey with Claude started. I started exploring Opus 4.6, its capabilities, its strengths. And then something happened. Since I was already in the terminal, I figured out very soon that OpenClaw is a mind-blowing tool. It's an unbelievable level of AI productivity. I couldn't sleep, mind you. For the first time when I had OpenClaw in my Telegram, I made my first bot. Making the first bot was in its own achievement a huge deal for me. Choosing its name, I was tweaking the profile pic and the name and everything. I was beautifying my bot. I was using Telegram for the first time, having never used it quite frequently. I knew about it. It was in my phone, but I never actually seriously used it. I found out how good of a program Telegram is and how good of an application Telegram is. So eventually, I spent 72 hours with OpenClaw, and my wife got concerned looking at the amount of time I was spending with AI. And because I've done similar things with ChatGPT, but never to this extent, I started learning about API credits. I started learning about free tiers of APIs. I started learning about endpoints, all these crazy terminologies. I was on this learning curve, this beautiful 3 days, and I'm somebody, I think I'm a visual learner. I feel like I ask a lot of questions. I'm always that annoying guy in class who asks a lot of questions, because for some reason things tend to get into my through my thick skull very easily than most of the other people's do. But I always felt that I'm a sort of a thorough learner. I don't claim to know something until unless I have actually absolutely learned it. So I was on an absolute learning spree. Every single thing you threw at me, every single thing that came up, I was to ask, why is it this way? Why is it not this way? What is haiku? What is opus? What is sonnet? How are these models different? What is a high effort, medium effort model? And what about Gemini 4.1? What Gemini 2.5 Flash? And what are these models? What are cron jobs? Every single thing. That was a huge learning journey for me. But something happened at the end of the fourth day. I just realized that in a period of around 4 days, with having just planning what I'm supposed to be doing with this new tremendous alien level technology in my hand, essentially, I just realized that I had blown through $280 with $40 more about to be gone before the end of the afternoon. The context window bloating, the frequent forgetfulness of the sessions, not being able to use the command terminal inside Telegram, not understanding what's really happening in the background. I mean, now that I've used terminal every day, I just know the value of using things in terminal. Back then I was like, the less terminal there is, the better the program is. But so essentially it was like a great learning process. And at the end of the day 4, I was heartbroken because I realized this was not sustainable. Claude's API, while the best of the best, just did not cut in terms of sustainability and efficiency, and I ended up using Sonnet, and then I ended up using Haiku. Haiku was dumb as a rock, and I essentially basically fall out of love with this whole OpenClaw situation. That's when I sat down and said this AI thing is not ready, and this assistant thing is not ready, but this would be a damn easy fix if somebody could fix the API credits. So after those 3 honeymoon-filled happiness days with AIs, all this newfound ambition and newfound anticipation of all this productivity that I could achieve, I had to give up. It was the worst 24 hours of my life. Then something happened. Then I was just churning through YouTube videos. I have a voracious appetite for YouTube. I just inhale YouTube videos a day. So having gone through a lot of YouTube videos and having been deep into the AI community by this point of time, I mean, as deep as a novice guy can go, I found out something called as Claude Code. Immediately the name was very confusing to me because there was an OpenClaw, there was a Claude bot, and there was a Molt bot, and then something called as Claude bot, and Claude is a chat model, and then there is Claude Code inside the chat, and there's Claude Cowork. So it was as good as anything to me. I didn't think much about it, but somebody said something on a YouTube channel where they said the word like, people are bastardizing Claude Code for things that it was not even supposed to do. People are doing marketing with Claude Code. People are making that Claude Code do their social media automation. People are making Claude Code do all sorts of things that Claude Code was not supposed to do. So that single line actually intrigued something in me. It made me curious as to believing that this is something like OpenClaw, because OpenClaw also had the same streaks of crazy stories surrounding OpenClaw, and people were reporting all kinds of crazy things that OpenClaw was doing, like calling them with its voice on their phone, using Twilio as a SIM card, and other things like that. And people were using and pushing the boundaries of OpenClaw. I felt Claude Code was something similar, but the terminal thing really scared me. So anyway, being the productivity fiend that I was, I just could not resist it, and I thought, why not I give it a try, because I've already know how good Claude Chat is. This time I told Claude Chat to help me install Claude Code inside the terminal. It did, and let me tell you, life has not been normal ever since. That was on February of 19th. Today it's March 17th something. It's not even been 25 days. It's not even been a month. But let me tell you how much this machine, this software, this tool has changed me. I mean, human beings have always adapted to the tools, but sometimes, I mean, the tools have always adapted to the human beings, but this may very well be the case where a human being has adapted to this tool. The kind of things that Claude Code has opened my eyes to was exactly what I was expecting OpenClaw to be, but without the cost of APIs, because I got to know through my journey of understanding Claude Code that Anthropic heavily subsidizes its API usage, and it gives you something like in the ballpark of $5,000 worth of APIs just for $200 of max subscription. So anyway, being me, having been burnt very badly with the API cost of OpenClaw, and waking up every day and being very scared of what the bill today is going to be and having that uncertainty, I went for the $20 model just to see what's the worst that can happen. It's a fixed cost. And very soon I just fell in love with Cloud Code. I mean, who wouldn't? If you ever use Cloud Code, you know what I'm talking about. And having been a doctor, never having experienced AI to this level, having always heard the AI bros, the tech bros always speaking about the AI revolution, about how I have like 5 agents running my company, I always thought it was marketing, marketing material bullshit. But now that I've actually started to experience it, I just realized this right here is the Pandora's box. This has to be the most important skill learning journey I'm going to be embarking upon if I end up integrating Cloud Code into my life. And I just immediately had the vision of all the people who do not know about this power and all the people who do know about this power. There are the tech bros who are the absolute to the top, like the Andrej Karpathis and the guy who invented OpenClaw, Sam Altman, all those people who are like the absolute cream of the cream in terms of AI. They can literally change the world with the help of AI. And then there are the other tech pros who are making YouTube channels and other stuff. But then there are people like me who have never used AI in their life and who come from a domain that is not at all AI heavy. I mean, the medical field is still very lagging behind. We have research, AI being used in research, but not in everyday life. I mean, we don't have many work processes which can be automated with the help of AI, so we are like safe that way. But that also turned out to be a very big moat for other doctors to enter into this, and that's when I realized I just stumbled upon something very valuable. And if I indeed genuinely start using AI to the same degree with which I had mastered Notion and then mastered ChatGPT, which seems funny now that I say the words mastering ChatGPT. I was like, what was there to master? It seems so damn simple in retrospect, but back in the day, how to prompt engineering, the context of prompts, what are the levels and limits of ChatGPT. I mean, the whole journey was pretty new for me, but I did go through the whole phase. Now that I've discovered Cloud Code, I just couldn't stop talking about it. Everybody around me had to know what Cloud Code is, but that's the funny thing, nobody understood exactly what Cloud Code is. Like, they were like, yeah, it's an AI. And I used to say, like, you can tell it something and it does it for you. It's like, yeah, ChatGPT does the same thing. And I had to explain to them, ChatGPT just tells you what to do, but it actually goes ahead and does it. But many people being from the non-techie side in my domain, my industry, never really got it. So I thought there is going to be a point of time when this thing is going to be very streamlined and very mainstream. But right now, instead of explaining what's happening to people by way of just talking about it in the physical world, why don't I start showing people what's possible for a normal guy like me? And if it's something that a guy like me with a full-time job, with an extremely busy job, if I can pull off something like this, or the things that I've been able to do with Cloud Code, you guys with the capability that you guys possess, maybe the time that you have, many of the young guys out there, I'm speaking to the young ones out there, you guys should absolutely be killing this. If you are not on Cloud Code, if you have not integrated Cloud Code or any sort of IDE by this point of time, IDE is something where you work in an environment where you speak to code and you code with help of vibe coding, was a word coined by Andrej Karpathi. Basically means like you speak to your machine and the machine does some things for you. If you're not in this domain right now, 2 years later it's going to be too late. And it's already too late for some people. You know, it's like AI is moving at such a breakneck speed that people inside, the industry leaders are feeling left behind. I'm not trying to be a fear monger here. I'm just trying to tell you that the best time to get into AI was yesterday. The second best time is today. So there is still time. I genuinely believe there's still time, especially for the people who do not belong to regular tech jobs, to actually take some time out and learn this tool. And don't just learn ChatGPT. ChatGPT is like the email of the past. Like back in the day when you used email, you get that much more of hot shit. But you know, like ChatGPT just does not cut it in this day. It's a chat-based LLM. You genuinely need to start vibe coding and understand what vibe coding is and how it can help you. And don't get scared by the word coding. Like, you know, people I say the word coding, they may conjure up images of them building an application or building some sort of a business. No, you need not think in those terms. You just think in terms of what you do every day, and I guarantee you there's going to be a very meaningful situation where you can use vibe coding to your advantage. So, with that serving as my introduction, I would like to welcome you to my channel. This is Dr. Does AI, and I expect all of you to walk along with me on my journey of discovering AI myself as a novice, as an idiot, as not a very intelligent guy. If I can figure these things out, I am pretty sure you guys can do better things than this, better than me, if I give you the same tools. My job is merely to introduce the tools to you in a way that feels non-threatening, not overwhelming. Basically, I want to introduce everything that I've learned for the last 25 days and the next 6 months and 1 year and hopefully my whole life in a way that I would have liked somebody to teach me. So wish me luck, guys, and if you guys liked my first video, please consider subscribing and consider liking the video. I hear that commenting helps the algorithm, and please do come back every week and I shall share you something of real value. And if you're a tech guy, you can see what a non-techie's perspective of AI is. If you're a non-techie guy, then this video is absolutely for you, because if I can figure this out, I'm pretty sure you can too. Okay guys, take care. Thank you for watching.